I've been writing a lot lately on the power of collaboration and partners and choosing the right people to partner with. And I wouldn't say I've had any bombing collaborations in the past, but I have really, really learned that if you try to rush the process, if you ignore red flags, if you do not choose who you're partnering with, collaborating with strategically based on those tough conversations up front, the chance of that partnership or collaboration doing what you want it to do is next to nil.
Welcome to the Crown Yourself podcast, where together we build your empire and transform your subconscious stories about what's possible for your business, body, and life. I'm your host, Kimberly Spencer, founder of crownyourself.com, and I'm a master mindset coach, best-selling author, TEDx speaker, known to my clients as a game changer. Each week, you get the conscious leadership strategies you need to help you reign with courage, clarity, and confidence so that you too can make the income and impact you deserve. Imagine this podcast as your royal invitation to step into your full potential and reign in your divine purpose. Your sovereignty starts here, and your reign is now. Before we dive in, let me tell you about the book that started a podcasting revolution, Make Every Podcast Want You. It is not just a bestseller, it is a 2-time gold medalist, baby. This book is your ultimate guide to landing dream podcast interviews, building authority authentically, and making your voice the one they remember. If you've got a message and a mission, this is your mic drop moment. Grab your copy today in the link below and step into the spotlight that you were born for. Hello, and welcome back to the Crown Yourself podcast. I have the queen, my soul sister, Erin Thomas, a fellow Enneagram 8 genius messaging strategist, communications wordsmith, who has an affinity and love for language like I do. And I am so excited to have you here, Erin. We have so many similarities. And I think where I want to start is like, how do you have non-competitive friendships with women who do similar but complementary things and also cheer them on and also be awesome simultaneously together, like we do?
Let's just cannonball into the deep end while we're getting started. I love it. I love it. I'm so thrilled to be here. I think this is such a powerful question, especially for women. But I think the answer is because there's enough for everyone. And I believe that with every cell in my body. And that hasn't always been the case. You know, we all go through high school. We all go through that, they like that person, they don't like me. And what I've learned with my 40 plus years on this planet is that there is absolutely more than enough. There is, and I know it sounds very woo, but that abundant thought process, there's enough money, there's enough goodness, there's enough fun, there's enough travel, business, audience, all the things. And when we believe that deeply, we attract others that believe that deeply. And then we create magic together.
So true. I wanted to believe that. And it's kind of, I would say in my early, like starting out my business, like I wanted to believe it, but I was stuck in this like financial scarcity, fear-based mentality. And not that I was thinking of other women as competitors, but I came from a very masculine world with e-commerce and being the only woman on my team, and then Hollywood and being the only woman on the production team. And like, so that experience of this like dog eat dog world, I haven't experienced it as much in female entrepreneurship, but I have seen it on the interwebs and the backhanded competitive, let me call out my female competitor coaches in the space so that I show how I'm different. And I'm curious with your messaging strategy, because you are just brilliant with refining messaging and you are that secret weapon behind so many entrepreneurs. Where do you stand when it comes to really creating content that is authentic, that separates you, that allows you to stand in like your unique value proposition, but without being that like mean girl.
It's a very tricky fine line with a lot of gray area. I hear you. And the beauty of the internet these days is that everyone has a platform, but that's also the downside of the internet because everybody has a platform. So it means we're all being bombarded with this. I call it noise versus music, but we are all having front row seats to some of this mean girl mentality and the passive aggressiveness and the backhanded. And it's interesting that this comes up today because I don't know if you know who Jennifer Jacobs is. She's a former Peloton instructor, Peloton, the bike fitness company. And she recently, this week, I just have been writing some content around this, did a little shade throwing to Peloton to launch her new venture. And it's really got me thinking about, there's the idea that all press is good press, even if it's bad press. And then there's this other thing about integrity and standing in your values. And how do you bridge that together? Because, yes, I see the genius in what she's doing because it's working. But I'm curious how it's going to shake out in the end. And how does it feel to her on the inside? And so I think the key for me to messaging that stands out, stops the scroll, is rooted in storytelling. I believe that it's never been a stronger time to lean on our own stories, to pull the pieces of us that maybe in the 90s marketing game, you were like, you have to keep it separate. You got all these
Mhm.
different lanes. I'm all about weaving them together now within reason, but people want to know us. Our audience, our partner, our collaborators, you can't make decisions if you don't let people know you. So I believe the key to scroll stopping content and standing out is sinking further into your own story and coming up with all the different angles and ways to share it.
I love that so much. Your story of the Peloton instructor reminds me of something my boyfriend before I met my husband said to me, who was a PR guy, and my film had just come out, and there were some choices that I would have made differently, as if had I been in any other seat other than the screenwriter. But I was not the producer, I was not the director of the show, I was the writer, which basically you're the architect of the story. And there was a comment that I made in private of certain things that I would have changed. And my then boyfriend goes, "Never, ever say anything bad about your movie." And I was like, "What?" And he said, "Never, because no matter what you would rather change or something, like the fact that you did that, that you had that platform, that you had something made, that you created something, that you did that, you had that experience. Yeah, you may have had certain experiences that you may want to change and may be your learning lesson. And that's like the end of the story that you can speak to, but never badmouth the past of your experiences in the light, because it's so hard to do anything creative. Launch a business, write a movie, produce an album, whatever it is that you're creating. That is, and whatever you've been a part of that has allowed you to have a platform and the size of platform that you have, that that reminder was so poignant. And I've just continued to take that all throughout my businesses, because when we have reverence for the past, of our past story, of what we've experienced, which doesn't mean bad mouthing, it means there's a reverence in the struggle. And how do we write and frame struggle so it doesn't have the essence of blame, but it can illuminate a path that might be easier and more helpful and more valuable for our audience?
And I think that's a good point about it's not that this person was saying don't acknowledge the changes, don't acknowledge the
Hmm.
mistakes, but to keep bringing them into the light and giving them energy and devoting time to them. Not only are we having this energetic putting it out into the universe when we don't need to, but
Yeah.
it also can bite us in the ass later on. So I think learn from it, process it. Maybe if you're a writer, journal about it and use it. But I love his thought. Don't talk about it. Don't lament in the wallow. Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. With being an Enneagram 8, though, a fellow Enneagram 8.
Bless our hearts. Bless our hearts.
Bless our hearts. We do like to challenge a little bit and kind of, poke the bear of systemic things that we see that we may not like. Like, where in the past have you done that where you have completely bombed? And how have you learned from that?
How much time do we have here? Man, my whole adult life has been about just taking these big I liken it to a staircase. I am good with seeing the first 2 steps and trusting that the rest is there, and I know that comes down to the Enneagram 8 too, and being a projector, which I'm pretty sure you're a projector too. We've got that, but I think it changes our frame of mind too around what is bombing, what is tanking, because there's very little. I mean, not that it doesn't happen, but it's always, for the most part for me, like, "Man, that didn't quite go as planned, and I'm challenging myself to do it better the next time." So, there's very few things that have actually tanked to the point where it's changed the course of my life, particularly. I will say that I've been writing a lot lately on the power of collaboration and partners and choosing the right people to partner with. And I wouldn't say I've had any bombing collaborations in the past, but I have really, really learned that if you try to rush the process, if you ignore red flags, if you do not choose who you're partnering with, collaborating with strategically based on those tough conversations up front, the chance of that partnership or collaboration doing what you want it to do is next to nil.
Mm,
And that's one of those lessons you keep getting the same lesson till you learn it and change how you do it. And someone told me years ago, red flags don't turn green. And it took me into my 30s, late 30s probably, to really hunker down on that. Like, if I have a gut feeling, if I have a spidey sense on, even if something on paper sounds good, we need to dig deeper because
mhm.
you can't get that time back. You don't want to spend too much time making a mistake. Pivot.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that saying, "Red flags don't turn green,"
So
because
true.
there have been those signs along the way that I think conscious-mindedly, they're like, "Oh, it ticks all the boxes of what I think would be great." But really your intuition is like, and I think that that's where there's that alignment piece of you will find that person who is very aligned for you, whether it's a partnership or a romantic relationship or a collaborative partnership. But it takes saying no to the good to really get that great.
Right. And saying no is, if you think about it, always a yes to something else. If you say no to an invitation, a project, an opportunity, you are saying yes to more time freedom, another opportunity, another collaboration partner. And that's been another big lesson when it comes to you don't I'm a yes person. I believe in
Same.
exploring things until, explore whatever comes your way, but being able to evaluate and make quicker decisions so you don't take so long, and embracing the no, I think is so, so powerful.
Yeah, I think right now in this season especially, I'm really embracing that no, and I'm seeing so many other entrepreneurs doing that, where there was just with family, and I know you're going through a big transition with moving into multi-generational living, just like I have, and with dogs and all the things. So similar.
All the things.
Bring it on. And in that space of transition, having a reverence for time has just dialed up times 1,000, and a reverence for other people's time and a reverence for my own time. Like, I just set a boundary with my team and I was like, no podcast on weekends. Like, I'm not like, I just, no bandwidth. Just sheared that sheep down on like when I am actually available, and it's only 3 days a week. Um, and I used to be the yes person. I used to be like, yes, I could do it all the time. I'm like, no, I don't want to take that time away from my daughter.
I think we're all like that as business owners to some extent, especially in the earlier days when you're trying to get clear on who you're serving, how you serve, how you want to be as available and as valuable to as many people as possible. And I think that's a lesson that we all, to some degree, learn or don't, or forever are learning. It's never a complete science, but I think that's a really powerful thing. And your take on time, I don't know, do you know Jesse Itzler?
I love Jesse Itzler.
Okay, me too. Like, total fangirl for Jesse Itzler.
And girl, I saw him speak at Tony Robbins Business Mastery, and I was like, you are my person for
He is,
mentorship.
oh, he's amazing. Well, he said something in one of his talks. It's been several years, but he said something about, his parents were old, and for a while his dad was living in assisted living. And he would go from wherever they live now, which I think might be Atlanta, to New York to see the dad. And he said a huge shift that happened for him internally was realizing not to judge time in year, but to do it in number of visits. So if you think, my dad is at the time, he's like, my dad is 85 and say he could live to 92. He's like, I don't have 7 years left with my dad because we don't live in the same city. And he's like, what if I go once a year, that's 7 visits. If I go twice a year, that's 14 more times to see. And it really, I found myself over the years thinking about that as a mom, as a partner, as we embark on this multi-generational living. Like, it was a key motivator for me to really dive into exploring that, sharing a property, building more of a life with family, because we watch so many other cultures do this for eons, but it's still relatively newish in America.
Hmm.
Thinking of my time with my parents, I'm an only child. I know you are
Same.
too. And the idea of having X number of days or visits left with my people, and the same, my daughter's just turned 13 a few months ago. And I'm like, we have 5 summers left of her in the house. We have 5 school years. I mean, I can't even. How do we make the most of that time? How are we intentional and purposeful with this time? Going deep.
I see it with my daughter. I mean, she's going to be 4 months and she's the big 4 months. So
I had one of those too. Yep.
I think she came into this world the smallest. And then she's now like, she saw her brother was like, oh, damn, I need to bulk up. Need
Yep.
to toughen up
Gonna
around
have to
these.
hold her own. She's coming. I had one of those big beautiful babies too. I know all about it.
It's so beautiful to witness, but she's like the size of a 6 month old. And I'm reminding myself she's only 4 months old. And
And you were just pregnant
I know, yeah,
a
like
blink
just
ago.
this like year. So I mean, and just seeing like with my eldest, Declan, he's going to be 18 in 10 years. Like that's a decade left with him just even at home. Like that kids change your perspective on time so drastically,
Do aging parents.
as do aging parents, and being in that middle generation where you're doing both.
Yep. Caring, you're the caretaker. Even when, and I'm not, my parents are super independent and I know yours are too.
Yeah.
Your mom is too, but it's coming. You have that in your mind because you want to be the support. So as your kids are getting older and more self-sufficient, perhaps there's going to be more caretaking on the parental side. It changes your perspective on time and the passage of it, profound ways.
Yeah. Yeah. I think with being in that space of having your perspective on time so like radically shaken up, what boundaries have you found yourself drawing in your business, with your team, with scaling, with your goals, so that you can do both, but because of that perspective shift with time?
That's a great question. We've lived in Europe. This is our third time, second with our daughter. So it's been a total of 10 years. So the first time we moved here, she was 3. The second time we moved back, she was 8. We had been home for 20 months. Just seeing her from 8 to 13 while we've been here, we look at pictures. My husband and I look roughly the same when we look at pictures from the house or our travels. But Nev, my 13-year-old, it's like she was missing front teeth. She didn't have braces. Now she has straight it's just wild. And so I really, this last time when we moved here, got real firm with my time boundaries from a work perspective. My business, as all businesses do, ebbs and flows, it evolves. And right when we moved here, it was in a big flow. It was growing and it was beautiful and it was great. And I was working like a dog. And it was one of those seasons. And I'm not someone that's going to say, yeah, I don't sugarcoat it and say, you're going to get $1 million billion empire with no hustle and grind. I don't like hustle and grind culture. I don't subscribe to it, but there are times when you're going to work your ass off. I believe
Mm-hmm.
that.
100%.
And being cognizant that that's a season and that that season has an end and you have other seasons that you need to be part of. So what I realized in that early thing, I have to have, I do not work on Fridays or weekends. I do not get in my inbox once I'm done for the day. Like, yes, I could check it. My team does not text me when I'm done for the day. Now, we even have this time difference thing right now because some of my team is in Europe here with me, some are in the States. I don't mind them texting while I'm asleep and I'll handle it in the morning, but do not text me when you know it's 8:30 at night and I'm with my family. I think having very, very clear boundaries, communicating them clearly to your people, your team, your clients, your potential clients. And the other part of that is then holding them,
Mhm.
not allowing, because again, our Enneagram 8, we are we can be focused, we can do the thing, and we can talk ourselves into certain situations where, oh, it warrants. No, this is the boundary.
Mhm.
And that is something that I still learn as we go. And as I build these other businesses and other passion projects, I have to put boundaries around those too, because otherwise my full steam ahead nature and building an empire just takes over.
Yeah. Don't know what you're talking about there.
Just kick back with some, umbrella drinks and
Yeah, the full steam ahead nature is like my husband calls it a hurricane.
it's
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
And it can take priority over everything unless you have that talk with yourself
yeah. And
and
that
with
was a big discerning factor when my daughter came because that was just this is our last. This is the last. And I have hustled and I have gone through seasons of epic growth with my kids and with business and simultaneously and doing them both and doing some of it well and doing it some of it like really struggling with navigating that plus grief. That was a big one for me. But the boundaries of like, these are the times, because there are boundaries with family as well. And that's one that we just established just this past week. I said, I have taken my appointment days down to 3 days a week. That's it. And on those 3 days a week, mommy is in appointments. And my kids are still working on it because they're young. So they're
little.
like, want to pop in and say hi and give me a hug. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'll give you a hug. And then it's back to daddy and grandma because mommy is in session. And so that there are those boundaries that unless you reinforce them and unless you teach them, they aren't going to learn how to respect them themselves. And I think that that's something that as a parent and as someone who sees natural entrepreneurship in my kids, I don't know if, I mean, do you see it in Nev?
For sure. It's
For sure. It's
100%
like,
coming.
yeah, there are businesses there are empires being built from these children.
Yes.
And them seeing mommy hold her boundaries and daddy hold his boundaries and grandma, and we all have our support system, but being able to support that and say, okay, now you're in a season of creation, go forth and create that thing. Here's the boundaries and here's how to structure that. And here's what mommy's doing with her boundaries. I think that's a powerful demonstration that has to be shown, especially since we're raising girls. I'm a girl mom now.
It's welcome to the club. And it's incredible. And I come from a long line. I'm third generation woman entrepreneur in my family. So I kind of was raised watching it too. And it never really dawned on me that I would work for someone else. I did try it for a minute and I
Same.
lasted 3 months. And that's a whole nother dumpster dive story. But I knew it would be me. And I firmly believe, Nev, I see it in her already churning that she can't even fathom working for someone else. She knows this is how life flows. And mom sometimes works on trips and sometimes she doesn't. That's a boundary that I decide in advance. Is this a working trip for me where I'm going to check emails every morning? Or are we on vacation and my laptop stays at home? I want her to see that it can look however I want it to look. Hers can look however she wants it to look. And you only can do that by trial and error and by watching and learning and talking to people about what works for you, what works for you. It's not for the faint of heart. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart, but it's also one of the most rewarding things in life, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd say next, yeah, it's like right there next to having kids.
Yeah, next to kids and a successful marriage and family. I mean, it's the next rung over that inner circle.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk successful marriage because you've been married for a bit.
We're coming up on 22 years.
Oh my gosh,
22 years.
that's amazing. Yeah, we're coming up on 13,
Okay. Also
and
very impressive.
yeah, like pretty damn good. And so, how do you navigate your success with your husband's growth and his aspirations, and you being a powerful queen of your empire and queen of your castle? How do you navigate doing the dance?
That's a constant learning and back and forth flow that I think my goal is for it to be that way until we're 100 years old and doing the thing. But I think our unique take, we really discovered once our daughter was born, in that we prioritize our marriage at the top of the pyramid, and then comes parenting. And
Same.
I know, I'm so glad to hear it, because I know that some people don't like that vibe. They feel very much like the kids are the world. And that, but for me, I am my best parent when I am totally in love and supported and in sync with my husband. And
Mm-hmm.
he would say the exact same thing. So we prioritize togetherness, alone time, a wonderful sex life, time playing, time talking about dreams and aspirations and looking ahead. But it's definitely the thing. And then everything trickles down. So that part is cool. And I think for him, he was raised in rural Kentucky. His family were tobacco farmers. His mom was more of a traditional sense. She has a college degree, but once she had kids, she decided to be the mom. The dad went to work. He kind of made the decisions. So I think when John first met me, it was like this breath of fresh air and this terrifying thing. And the first time I met his parents, they likened me to Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, you guys, I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. Like, this is not Manhattan. I do have big blonde hair, but I think they just thought of me as like way out here. And I think in some ways they still do. But it took him, he knew, and he has said this since, he's like, I knew I was going somewhere big and I had to have someone with me to get there. Not for me to take there, but someone to get there and help me get there. And I think if that's your goal, if you're building empires, whether it's businesses or families or dreams, whatever it is, you have to give thought to the type of partner that you want to go there with. And there's no judgment if it's not like an equal tit for tat situation, the way
Mm-hmm.
ours is and the way I'm pretty sure yours is. But having those conversations in advance and planning for the future that you're building, even though you can't see that staircase yet.
Yep.
And I'll
Yeah.
just put in, I'm an only child. John is an oldest child. I mean, it is not all roses. We can absolutely come at it. We are both of us passionate people with big thoughts, big opinions, big ideas. But that also translate into this amazing, passionate everything else. And it makes it great.
Yeah, I think the magic is when you have those talks. Like, I love long talks and long drives with my husband, of just being able to kind of envision and recalibrate together. The thing that I love is that he trusts my intuition. He is now like not doubted it at all after being spot on with, he was like, how long do you think we're going to be in Australia for? I was like, 2 to 3 years. He was like, how long do you think we're going to be back in California for? I was like, about a year. And he was like, how long, which of these houses do you think is our one? I said, one of these three houses is our one. He is my integrator to the vision, which I think is amazing to have. I think also relationships can go through those recalibration moments, especially like right now, we're in like this big transition, not just with having a newborn, but now with having a dog and looking at, okay, we're in this vision of what we wanted for our homestead, and it's not quite there yet. And it's like, okay, well, how do we adjust? Who do we need to have for support? Who do we need to bring on? How do we do this, but not do this, in a way? Like fully believe you can have it all, but you just can't do it all. And so there are things that I'm already looking, I'm like, these need to be delegated. And there's things that my husband likes having responsibility over that he's struggled with delegation. And so that's where he is my great integrator. And that's where we kind of like do this dance of like, how much is his integration and how much is his integration practicing delegation? And that's the part of empire building that can be like, for us, it's been a challenge of
Yeah.
like, let's explore this space of integrating, but also the amount of expansion that's happening and how fast it can happen. Oh my gosh. And being able to run the paces.
For sure. And I think this brings up for me that the dance that we have. So my husband he's a Libra. He's an engineer,
Mm,
electrical engineer. He is my calm, steady place to land. He keeps me where
same.
I am out doing and doing. And so our dance becomes, he too knows that my visions can become amazing. And I'm not, I am never reckless with anything. So he trusts that. And there are times that he just is too grounded for me. Like, I need you to look alive. Like, I need your buy-in for right now. You're like, this, it's go time. It's go time. And that's where we will lean in, because his take on that too is like, I need you to, let's get centered. Let's come down here and so I think the point that both of us keep finding is it's the dance is the point of all of it. That's the point.
Yeah.
Being in a dance with someone that you want to genuinely dance with. And there is even when the dance is shitty, and there are times that the dance is shitty,
You're
you
stepping
don't
on
want
each
it with
other's
someone else.
toes.
Yes, but you don't want someone else. You don't want to dance with anybody else. We're going to take a break from this dance right now and we'll reconvene tomorrow.
Yeah. You're going to two-step instead of, waltz.
Correct. Yeah. We'll just bob our heads for the minute until we can just bob
We're
along.
just going to be in sync with just like, let's get back to the basics of bobbing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love that you said that your husband brings you into the space of groundedness, because I think so often in business, it requires this like masculine and feminine dance within our own selves as leaders, as female leaders and male leaders as well, because we all have feminine, masculine within us. How do you navigate that union within yourself to make sure that that over masculine, goal driven side doesn't permeate so much into the relationship that in essence, it feels like you're wearing the pants?
It's hard. That's a hard one.
It's hard.
It is. I mean, again, as I get older, I'm more aware of that.
Hmm.
I'm not a word of the year person. I don't really I don't set resolutions, but the word that kept popping up for me year before last was soften. And
Mm,
even now I find myself, I'm aware when I'm too much in the masculine, when I'm in seasons of my business where I've got too many clients or prospects or projects that require me to show up like that for too much of the day or for too many days in the week. I'm better now at catching myself taking it home from the office,
mhm.
but it can be hard because it gets shit done. I am a get shit done kind of person. And John is really good to be like, I'm going to need you to do a do-over. It's fine. And that's again, 22 years of trust and kindness. You can tell each other that, like, this isn't going to fly for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I
but it's
think
a
that
work in progress.
it's such a beautiful space. Like when I can come home to my softness. Spike is my person to be weak with, to be in that full, let me just hold on, let me just have a full on crying meltdown and trust that you're going to hold me and support me through this. You're not going to try to fix it for me because you know I'm a big girl and I can do that myself.
And that you'll try to.
And that I will do that myself. Just let me have my moment of like fully just being a puddle. And especially postpartum, like I'm like, it's coming up again. He's like, "Yep, I see this." And even him just being able to also acknowledge how far I've come since my first postpartum, because my first postpartum it was it was brutal, and for multiple reasons, but that I think first children, and I know you just have Nev, but like that, so there's not like much of a comparison, but like there's being able to be in that space of motherhood and entrepreneurship and doing the dance of both, and yes, and it was so humbling in the initiation that it provided for me.
That's the part that if I were to have done it again, I have moments where there's so much I would have done better. And I know that I can't know if I would have done it better, but you're right. That was the only time I did that, but I had 2 businesses at that time and this newborn. My husband works for the government, was traveling a lot, so sometimes it's just me. I was fortunate at the time that my parents lived nearby, so I had the village, but it was hard. And I mean, and I floundered a lot on all fronts. I'm sure I could have improved all of it, but I can only imagine that you, by the 3rd time, not only are you more seasoned as a parent, more seasoned as a business owner, you're 13 years into your marriage now. You know, the relationship everything allows you to sink a little bit deeper into like, this is what I know, this is what I don't know.
Mhm.
How do we bridge those gaps? I think that's so powerful.
Yeah, because I mean, I too had the space of having parents that lived nearby, and so I knew that grandma could watch
Right.
Declan when I was growing Crown Yourself, and like that was a space of where there was just such an initiation of a full-on identity shift, full-on mindset shift that happens from like scarcity to abundance. Like that was when I was going through all of that and being able to see the abundance and see the possibility and see this light of this beautiful child in front of me, and the the dismantling limiting beliefs that were like right in front of my face in the personification of my child. That was like, man, it was an initiatory.
Doesn't even get into like the body stuff that you're dealing with, and I mean, for me, fitness and nutrition and all had been so huge in my 20s. And then all of a sudden, your body's doing all these incredible yet terrifying things by the day and continuing after they're here. And you're trying to like, be on the phone with clients and you make decisions about this and and be a mom and look down and be like, "What is that?" I'm just saying. So, the women are incredible,
We are
and
fucking
we're
goddesses.
fucking phenomenal, and whether you're, a mother or a business owner, like, it's just in general, everybody has this story. Women all have this story of your parts that come together, and it's like, "Holy shit, you did that. You're doing that."
Yeah. And I think that circles back to having friends like you and like friends like we found in the Dames, friend like a strong circle of women that just see you and recognize you. Like I got a text the other day from a friend of mine who's like, no, actually it was an email. It was an email sent at 1 a.m. and she's like, Queen, I see you. I know you're on your email right now. I see you. We're doing this. And I was like, damn right we are. But it was just in that space of being able to say, like, I get it. Like, I get this hustle period. It's not like a hustle. It's like I wouldn't
It's
even
a
say
hunger. It's a hunger.
hunger and it's devotion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a level of like like it's like almost like going into the prayer desert of like devotion of like I'm gonna just this is gonna be a challenge for my mind, my body, my soul, And as an Enneagram 8, like I thrive on a healthy challenge. And I also have to work on how much of a challenge am I accepting? Because I've had the struggle. I don't know if you have had of like overextending yourself.
My whole life. It's not just the overextending, it's the overachieving because sometimes it can be like, okay, I have a reasonable amount on my plate, but if I have to give 190% to every piece on the plate, we're up to like 1,400%. So something has to, gotta have a talk with
How
self.
have you navigated that, especially as a projector? It's like learning that I was a projector. I had so many people when I discovered human design, they're like, "How are you a projector? How?"
Same. Yeah. But it
What did
changed
you
everything.
find was your dance that really worked for you?
It changed for me. It was almost like a relief, a permission slip when I finally got into human design because, so much of the world is we're raised as generators because, a lot of parents are generators. The
Is your
whole
husband a generator?
yes.
Mine is too.
Yeah.
The doer. Get it
And
done.
you look back even at like the 40s and 50s and 60s when industrialization was happening and we all, everyone kind of had this generator mindset. So when I came across human design and really dove deep into the projector side, I was like, that's why that didn't feel quite right. That's why it feels harder for me than it seems for my, these other people. Or that's because I have some amazing friends who, I mean, they can go and go and go and they can stay focused and they can drive and it can be a year. It can be however long and I'm in all of them. And a lot of times it can make you feel like what is wrong? I mean, I'm every bit as smart, as driven, as capable, and I am burning the candle at both ends and ready to just blow this place up. And so for me, the projector thing, how I incorporated it in was one, immediately incorporating more rest, not
Yeah.
feeling apologetic for the rest. I need, as a creative, play and rest and silence. As an only child, I need silence more than most. I need all of that. So that was the first thing. And the second was I really struggled with the whole wait for the invitation thing because that's not my
Mhm.
nature to wait for things. What I realized though is that doesn't just mean sit back and do nothing and think that the invitation is going to come. It means one, honoring the ebb and flow. Like if you're in a waiting period, that just means you're working on the other stuff. You're in grow mode, build mode, nurture mode, whatever the other thing is. And I still show up. I put my brand out there. I put my personal stuff out there. I talk with people like you, like whether or not I'm not selling anything. I'm not asking for the job or the opportunity, but I now know that by putting it out there in a way that feels good for me, I'm attracting the right people and then the invitations come.
Same. Same. Like that was a massive shift in understanding how to do business as a projector because most of the teachings in marketing, especially when I started my coaching business in 2016, 2017, it was like, put yourself out there, drop the DMs. And I'm like, oh my God, this feels wrong for me because my first business at 19 as a Pilates instructor, as a freelancing, within a year, I had become the highest paid youngest instructor at the studio that I was teaching at. And it was because I was present. I was in the space. I authentically shared my story of never loving exercise until I found Pilates. And that space of authentic leadership and then showing up and just choosing to have fucking fun. I think that's a big piece is being in the energy of fun and also that storytelling piece that you're such a master of playing with story and letting that be the driver to connect and generate those invitations from the stories.
Because that's where people connect to us, right? Like what's the say? People buy with emotion and then justify it with logic. So when we approach our message, whether we're a brand or a person, what we're putting out there people connect with us based on the emotions and the feelings that they get when they interact with us. Then the logic comes and the analytics and all that other stuff. So you're right. Story is very much when you put it out there as a projector, especially, others are going to say, oh my God, that's my story. Or, oh, I want that to be my story. Or she seems cool as hell. Like, I want to connect with her. That's how the organic opportunities and invitations come about. It's
I
really cool.
shared a story. It was my birth story of Colton coming into this world, free birthing him unexpectedly in this world in Australia. And that story generated a $30,000 contract. But it was from like, it had nothing to do with business whatsoever. But what it did demonstrate were specific values of courage, of trust, which are the recurrent themes that my clients come to me for. And thus, because it was projected in a way that had nothing to do with it, it didn't even have to do anything with business, but it was an example. It attracted that level of client to me. What is it, a story that you've shared that you've seen just exponential returns from because of the values that it emulates that reflect what your ideal customers come to you for?
Two come to mind. One is it's not really a single story, but in one of the keynotes that I give regularly that is about messaging and being different and stepping outside of the box, I have a slide in that shows my top 10 performing social media posts that are all storytelling based. And it has the images and not a, s- they were, it shows my top 10 money producing posts of the previous calendar year. Not a single one was inherently business. It had pictures. One is the release of my children's book. One was, we have multiple with my family on travel vacations. One has my hair just giant, big. I have really curly hair. You can't tell today, but it's big, curly, and my
So
tattoos.
gorgeous.
Thanks.
I
My
love your
tattoos
hair.
were all on display. One is my cat being like my co-conspirator one day. But all of those generated money in some way or another. And I use that for those of you doing the professional headshot only and only telling your business story, that's why you're missing the boat. The single story that really launched my brand as it is today, I think I mentioned earlier that I lasted 3 months in corporate America. I had landed this corporate ad agency job right out of grad school that I thought I wanted, wore these cute suits every day. I had a corner office. It was great. At the time, I'm like early 20s. I'm making more money than most of my friends because it was like, hallelujah, I got a job. I was dying a slow death in fluorescently lit hell. And one morning at the time in Charleston, a new bridge was being built simultaneously next to an old bridge that was going to be torn down. And I was sitting in rush hour traffic for the umpteenth time. And I looked over as I'm sitting here on this swaying bridge and I notice all of these, I think, Hispanic men dangling from the bridge, spackling and painting because it was in construction. I'm looking at this and they were laughing and they were telling I'm making up stories in my head as I look at them, but they were smiling and laughing and joking with each other and talking and in the sunlight. And this was 8 o'clock in the morning. And I was jealous. I was like, you guys have it made. You guys. And I sat with that feeling. I felt kind of weird all morning long. And I took my lunch and went outside I'd made it 4 hours in the morning. And I made the decision on that lunch break. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I pulled back in the parking lot and in my cute suit, I climbed into the dumpster and I grabbed a box and I walked in my office and I put my ponytail palm that my mom had given me for my office and my couple picture frames. And I stopped by the boss's office on the way out and I was like, I'm so sorry. I realize this is not professional at all, but I'm not doing this anymore. And I got out to the car and I cried when I got out to the car just from the adrenaline. I was relieved and terrified. And I had only been married maybe a year and a half at this point. And I got out my like Zach Morris flip phone, like this big honker of a thing that lived in the car in like a bag. And I called my husband at work and I was like, everything's fine. I have a plan, but I've done something. And from there, the rest is history. But my first business was born that afternoon and it just went. And I think that story so many people can resonate with, that if you know something is not a good fit, if you are scared, but you're going to do it anyway, if you want to think outside of the box, if you want to be bold and risky and trust that the staircase is all of those things, that's my people. Like that's who I want to attract to my business. So yeah, storytelling, we could go on forever, but
Oh, and for my communication queens listening, I just want to point out a couple things that you just did so masterfully, because I know this is your craft. Dying a slow death in fluorescent lighting. I was like, the language and mastery in that simple statement. It paints a picture. You feel the feelings.
you can feel it, right? You knew
Oh,
what I
you
was.
feel it. I know that you said this is a keynote. So this is something that you said, I'm sure, multiple times, but that language, it paints a picture. And when you leverage that mastery of language and the specificity of creating those beautiful pictures, I was there with you experiencing it. I saw the bridge, I saw the men dangling off and enjoying themselves. And I felt the feelings with you of like jealousy, of envy, of like wanting to be there. Cause I've had that too. And I've also had the opposite too, where there was a online entrepreneur that I was following, and I was like looking at her stuff and seeing what she was saying. And I was like, none of that I want.
Yuck.
Oh my
Yuck,
God,
yuck,
none of
yuck.
that I want. Like, no, that is not for me. Right. I do not want 50 clients right now. No, thank you. Like in our community, yes, but like not 50 one-on-one clients. I would
Woo.
die.
We've all been there, back to that whole when we're starting our business and we're yes women,
And we're
you
doing
know,
all the things.
and we end up with 50 one-on-ones and we're like, when are we going to pee? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I remember that, and I had to structure in 5, like, I learned how to pee on the hour every hour, took 5 minutes break in between sessions, because that was the level, that was where I was at with starting my business. But man, so great to have the space and to really come home to who you are and to have that bit evolution. And I think the best thing is that, you know, Erin and I have been in the entrepreneurship game for a minute, like, and by that I mean like a couple decades. So give yourself the grace and space and permission to be in this for the long game and to know that it's going to evolve. Like, your empire is going to evolve as you evolve, as your family evolves, as your marriage evolves or devolves, depending upon if you're married to the right person. Like,
I think of it like the way you would, like my aura ring, for example.
yeah.
You don't look, as entrepreneurs, I think sometimes we get bogged down in looking at the day to day, the week to week. Was it a record setting day? Was it a $50,000 week? Or but if you think of like an aura ring, if you had a stressful day or you had a shit night's sleep or whatever, that is not, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme. What you want to look for is the trends.
Mhm.
Are things going up? Are they going down? Are you having beautiful curves or are you having big spiky things? That's where, tracking, and I don't mean necessarily, yes, tracking the numbers and the analytics, absolutely important. I will die on that hill. But I mean tracking for yourself. Are you checking in, and don't be so hard on, well, it was a crummy week or even it was a crummy month. It businesses are naturally evolving, and as long as things are trending correctly, that's where it matters. And I think it's so important, especially for folks who are newer in the entrepreneurship space, to give thought to what you want beyond the business,
Mm.
and how are you setting up the business in a way that is going to support those dreams and those goals, not the other way around. Because if you build a business where your life has to fit into it, you're really in a box. And I'm using myself as an example right here, as I've launched this, passion project called MultiGen Magic. That's the one moving in with
Love
in the
it.
same property as my family. But what I've really realized since launching that just in January is how thankful I am to have built a business that allows me the bandwidth and the space and the flexibility to go after something like that because I want to, not because, I mean, it's not monetized yet. It's not, I'm not, there are no lead magnets. There's no lead generation happening. Like I'm literally documenting my family's experience and inviting the internet to watch. That's, and I want to be the resource. And I'm passionate about that. And it has nothing to do with the money or how it ties into this existing business. And so I think if folks can, from day one or as soon as they realize it, start building businesses that support the life that they want long term.
I 1,000% agree. And I see that not just with new business owners, I see that with even established business owners who are stuck in a high performing, successful business that feels like a prison. And that is called a job.
And you become an employee rather than a CEO. That's what I mean. A lot of my clients that I do their monthly messaging, it's to give them the liberation back, because they are showing up every day. They're doing all the stuff, but they feel like, oh my God, if I have to keep doing it, I'm going to just burn out. And it doesn't, and that's what I work with them is, if you have a strategy, if you have a set of structures and flow, it doesn't have to feel that way. Let me help. And the sooner entrepreneurs of all stages recognize that need for the pivot and bringing in support, I will always be somebody that bring in support before you are at your wit's end. That's what changes the game in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, well, if that wasn't a Bible message right there for me. Like literally the conversation I just had yesterday with a friend who was like, "You are understaffed for your personal life." And I was like, "Fine. All right."
And that's such a good point. Our personal lives, think of it, and you and I've talked about this, Kim, multiple times, running family, running life like a business, the
Mhm.
same methodologies apply. Put a dollar amount on the time you're spending doing whatever the thing is. If you're cleaning your own house and you're allocating 4 hours every Saturday or whatever to do that, I mean, if you're charging $400 an hour during the week to meet with clients, is it worth 1,200, $1,600 that you're spent? Outsource that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's saying whatever your thing is, if it's gardening, if it's laundry, if it's cooking your meals, if it's meal planning, like whatever can make your life, if it's the chauffeur for your kids to their activities, think of it like your business. What can
Mhm.
I delegate? What can I bring in? How can I restructure this? And Kim, one thing you've told me that you do is like your family board meetings. How do you sit down and talk to your people? And I've already been implementing this with my family from afar as we're all preparing for this move. Sitting down and having like State of the Union talks to decide, okay, what parts are not working? What parts are working great? What can we learn from these parts and apply them over here? And that I think goes back to us being our Enneagram eights, the mentality that like what works in business can work in marriage, can work in parenting, can work in households.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and I think here's the magic I think of talking to a projector. Like you end up getting breakthroughs. So you illuminated something for me. I'm like, I need to promote my mom. She needs to be manager, not grant, she's lead granny. She's but not the sole granny.
Yep.
So she needs a promotion.
And that's the whole point. Like, I love that we get to illuminate for each other because I remember our conversation about like the board meetings. And
Mhm.
while our family had always had the meetings, thinking of them and structuring them in a way that you would run an efficient meeting of team. And I'm somebody who like, I loathe
I loathe
useless
meetings.
meetings. Yeah.
Inefficient meetings drive me up a wall. No way.
Me too. I turned one down recently. They requested a 60-minute and I was very frank and I said, I am a firm believer unless it's a client session where I need the hour. If you can't tell me what I need in 30 minutes or less, it's not distilled enough. you need to work on that and then book 30.
Yeah.
I rarely take 60-minute calls anymore outside of client work because connection calls and stuff and things without agendas, things without a clear, I don't want to just come and commiserate with all the things. And I think from a family perspective, you're doing that kind of stuff already. But when you have that boundary, like we're going to sit down and have a board meeting. Here are the topics I need us to cover today. Is there anything fires we need to put out for anybody? It keeps things on track
Yeah.
and allows everyone to feel good.
Especially when you're talking money, which I know we dove into on your show, MultiGen Magic, which I highly recommend. I will leave a link to that episode because the strategies for implementing this with your own family, especially when dealing with the touchy subject of money and of combined assets, that whoo, it's one to definitely, but shame loves secrets. And when we can blow the lid off of that, it allows for everyone to operate with transparency, with openness, with communication, with expectations as well. And that nothing gets shrouded in silence. And so that episode, I think, with you was so powerful. And I am so excited for our community to listen to that because it is just when the business principles, like we moved our we do weekly meetings, but we now have even a daily just prep session of like who's taking the kids where, who's doing what with what, who. It's summer, so there's some weeks the kids are in camp, some weeks they're not. Like the dance is real and it's happening in a real-time basis, and so change is the only constant that we have. And when you're in that state of so much fluctuation, so much change, and so much growth, I feel we're being really strengthened right now. We'll just put it that way.
That is so true. And then you throw in the different generations on top of it all. And that's another constant that you're learning. You've got kids, you've got us who are, elder millennials, Gen X, and then you've got boomers.
Mm.
And that for me has been such a beautiful learning curve. It's incredible. And so I think our conversation really highlighted so much and so much strategy around how to bridge all of these gaps.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you are being that resource because you saw the need in the marketplace. There is no resource for people parenting older parents, but not for those we're in this gap era where we're doing both and we're running businesses and we're building empires and we're in this space that typically in the past royalty has been in. Other than that, I don't know who.
That it's true.
That
It's
is
true.
is true royalty when you're navigating generational wealth, growth, and expanding an empire. You are just an absolute queen, Erin.
Well, thank you. Likewise, back at you.
So I want to shift into a little bit of rapid fire to wrap this up. You
Okay,
down?
I'm
Okay.
down.
Who is your favorite female character in a book or a movie, and why?
Oh my God. You're gonna laugh. Do you know the movie it was Pauly Shore's son-in-law? It's where he like goes to the farm, they meet at college, and then he goes to her like North Dakota house. Anyway, Rebecca is the main character in that. It's from like 1993. It's my favorite movie of all time.
What is the movie?
Son-in-law, Pauly
Okay.
Shore. Don't judge it.
I have not seen it.
It's just hilarious. It's just good. But anyway, she goes and blossoms and becomes this powerhouse, yet soft and kind, yet determined, driven woman. I just, I love her. There are certainly amazing heroines across the board in a lot of movies, but I think that that's one that's not often thought of. And I think underdogs should be thought of.
I love that. The story of the underdog and the fact that you mentioned someone that in over 270 episodes, no one has mentioned.
Leave it to me. Leave it to, it's one of those things. She's funny. She's beautiful. She's doing big things on her own terms. And I think that that's just a big message.
Love it. What person would you want to trade places with, alive or alive and in their time, just for a day? Any person in history experienced a world through their eyes.
That's a tough one too. Alive, I would love to trade places for a day with like Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. I know I couldn't be married to her husband, Jesse, who we were talking about earlier. I wouldn't want to be married to him. I think it would be very tiring, but it would also be incredible. And her story of building her brands her own way from her own funding, I think would be super incredible. I think she's a brilliant mind, but not in a way that is so overbearing or overstated. I think that that's really cool. I don't have necessarily a person that I would want to trade with, but I would love to be in the early 70s music scene.
Yeah.
Like Robert Plant is in my I don't want to be a groupie, but if I could be just like best friends with Robert Plant, not necessarily sleeping with him, but someone who gets to just go to all those shows and be part of that lifestyle for a day and be part of their artistic creative process
Hmm.
with a band in that collaboration, like that era fascinates me. If I could have like rubbed elbows with, Clapton and Jimmy Page and all of the Mick Jagger, that whole group.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. When I found out that I have the same sun, moon, and rising as Freddie Mercury, I was like, oh my God, I am in the throes of greatness.
I would love to hang out with Freddie Mercury. He is a
I think that would
absolutely
be an amazing experience.
same
What is your money routine?
routine. How?
It could be daily, weekly, quarterly meetings with your bookkeeper,
Okay.
CPA meetings. Do you sit down and like bless your money when it comes in? Like, what are the woo and what are the practical?
Gotcha. I am a huge believer in outsourcing that piece. That's one thing that I wish I had done way earlier than I did because I thought earlier I don't have enough to warrant that expense, but I can't say enough about the impact that someone who knows tax laws and investments and it's not normally the same person, but bringing together a financial team to handle your investments, your payments, your tax stuff, the money that they save and generate. So I am very much a numbers person. I am someone who believes that all people should be in touch with their numbers and know what's there and what's not and what's working and what's not. So when I hear people like, I don't know my numbers, or I'm afraid of the numbers, or I don't know how to balance that, please, 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 like learn. And I know it's scary. And there are times that I'm like, oh, I don't want to look, or I'm excited to look, or it's overwhelming. And I have to call one of those people I just talked about and be like, I don't even know what this means. But I'm very not a daily, weekly person necessarily, unless I need to be, because I have that trusted group in place.
Hmm.
And my husband being an engineer, that's something we very much tag team on finances, but being very present and aware and that abundant mindset coming back. I don't necessarily bless things, but when something goes well, I absolutely let the universe know that yes, that's it. We want more of that. And then making smart investments. We're a family that we own a couple properties, we have some short-term rentals, we have some solid different bonds and stocks and option.
Hmm.
I believe in diversification because not putting all your eggs in one basket that's a scary thing for me too, but I think it's also wise.
Yeah. Yeah. So good.
Yeah, I'm
So
like
good. I'm just
sweating
like
rapid
soaking
fire
it all in. I'm
questions.
like, yep, 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 yep. Having the full on money team, 100%, especially as you go into generational assets and all of that, like, and inheritances and
Legacy
things.
stuff.
Yeah. It's hashtag adulting and necessary. And I think that there are a lot of like woo principles that can go into it. I think also, I remember when I used to have like a 17-step like money routine, and I was like, not feasible with three
Too
children.
much. Yep.
No, we're gonna like bless, thank you, the universe, like awesome, and know the numbers and move on. Um,
Keep it moving. Yep.
and I think sometimes people stack on the stuff when there's that lack of certainty,
Yeah.
especially in the beginning stages of entrepreneurship.
Yep.
How do you crown yourself?
I'm an Aries. I crown myself every day just by existing.
Well,
I got ego for days. No, I'm just kidding. Um, I think I'm very present and grateful and thankful in ways that I never was able to be as a young person. And I crown myself by recognizing that growth and celebrating that growth and acknowledging that it's still ongoing. And
amen. Erin, how do we find you? How do we work with you? How do we experience your multi-gen magic?
I would love to connect with people. So on social media, my handle is I am Erin Thomas. So I would love to connect on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all those things. Our channel is on YouTube, MultiGen Magic. I am on a mission to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So
Totally happening.
please come and subscribe and comment and say hi and be entertained and learn, even if you're not multi-generational living yet or ever. It's all about building life and dream outside of the box. And for messaging work, it's ErinThomasCommunications.com, where I do monthly messaging strategy, copywriting, websites, social media, all those things. And I'm an intentionally small team so that you get truly customized approaches that have big results.
You are just such a wonder. Thank you for being in my world and just such a great friend over the years. I mean,
Same.
the amazing thing is that I hope you get from this, that our audience gets from this episode, is that really cultivate deep, powerful, reciprocal relationships with amazing, high performing, visionary women who are just going for it and have the results to back it up. And I think that that's something that is such a testament for you, is like, you don't just walk the walk. Like you walk the talk, you walk the walk, like you are in it on a daily basis and you show it, and it's magical. And I love being a part of it. And yeah,
It's right back at you. And I can't say enough the inspiration that you are, the motivation that you are, the just the example that you're setting for your community and for those around you. It is really, really cool being in your orbit. And yeah, I did something right and I'll be grateful.
I'm so grateful for you. As always, my fellow sovereigns, own your throne, mind your business, because your reign is now. Till next time.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. If what you heard resonated with you, be sure to subscribe and start creating a bigger impact now by sharing this with a friend. Just by doing that one simple act of kindness, you are creating a royal ripple to support more people in their sovereignty. And if you're not already following on social media, connect with me everywhere at crownyourself.now for more inspiration. I am so excited to connect with you in the next episode. And in the meantime, go out there and create a body, business, and life that rules. Because today, you crown yourself.